Distinguished partners, guests, good afternoon. Welcome all of you to the themed seminar held by HKTE with the topic of Financial Management, Taxation and MPF Essentials for Entrepreneurs and Talent in Hong Kong. I'm Edwin, I'm MC and also from HKTE. The activity will be online broadcasted on WeChat and also LinkedIn in English. Welcome all of your questions at our Q&A session. So for the first part, we will talk about Hong Kong taxation implications and compliance requirements when talents relocate to Hong Kong or when a new business set up in Hong Kong. We will talk about the salary taxes and the filing obligations. We have invited the EY representatives, Ms. Emily Chen, partner of People Advisory Services of EY, and Mr. Tony Chen, manager of People Advisory Services of EY, to give us the talk. Welcome. Good afternoon. I'm Emily. I'm the partner from EY. I'm very happy to see all of you. So today, I want to know whether you are new to Hong Kong, because my topic is suitable for those who would like to relocate to Hong Kong from mainland, or you want to set up a new business in Hong Kong. So for a letter one to become an employer, what kind of filing obligations you would face? So that will be our priorities for today's presentation. Well, this is just a disclaimer, because today's sharing will focus on the salary tax in Hong Kong, so we will not discuss from the legal perspective, because in Hong Kong there is a special point. When you set up a new business, whether you are an employee or you are a director or you are just a consultant, actually it involves some legal issues. So we will not talk about that. We will just talk about when you set up a new business, you will become an employee, then what kind of filing obligations you will face. And we will not involve any accounting issues today. But afterwards, if you have the related questions in the Q&A or in the networking session, we can further discuss. Because for myself, I'm also a member of migrants. I'm not from mainland, but I'm came from Australia to work in Hong Kong. So if you have any questions, we can exchange our opinions later. This is our agenda. Okay, just now I mentioned when you become an employer, what kind of a tax obligation you have. The first point is when your obligation starts. That is when you hire your first employee of your company in Hong Kong. So if you set up a limited company, for example, and then you employ yourself to be the first employee, at that point you already have the employer tax obligation. The second point is that it's very important to preserve your record in Hong Kong. According to the relative ordinance, you have to keep the records for at least 7 years. And what kind of materials and documents should be kept? That is not limited to the below, including employees' personal particulars, including the name, the marital status, address, residential address, and whether he or she has the spouse, and the particulars of the spouse, including the ID numbers of the spouse. These information should be kept with the employers. And also, In Hong Kong, usually when you hire an employee, you have to sign an employment contract. And in this contract, you have to explain all the employment period, how long it lasts, maybe 1 or 2 years, and what is the positions under the employment contract, and what is the monthly salary. You need to also keep the payroll records. And later, we also have an expert here, that is the MPF, the Mandatory Provident Fund, or the Hong Kong's version of pension. You also need to include all the information, including the bank records and also all the contribution records. All these records and the information should be kept for 7 years. And finally, to report the salary tax, there are 2 parts. If you have worked in Hong Kong in the past year, then you may have already reported your tax for yourself. Actually, it's about to be expired. The deadline is near us. Employee has the obligation, as well as employer. So there are 2 sides. Employer and employee both have the tax filing obligations. Later, I will also elaborate further on that. For employer, actually, the emphasis is different. If you used to work in mainland, usually, actually, mainland also have to do the filing and reporting. And they also will deduct some taxes, and the salary in mainland is the post-tax salary. But in Hong Kong, the employer will not deduct any tax. They will just issue the whole salary to you, and then the employee yourself has the obligation to report the tax and also to pay the tax. So this practice is different from the mainland. But employer in Hong Kong still has the filing obligation. Next slide, I will pass on to my colleague Tony. Just like I mentioned, employer has the obligation to keep the records. What are those records? He will elaborate on that. Okay, thank you, Emily. Hello, I'm Tony. So in this slide, I will touch upon the issues when upon your hiring of the first employee. You have to keep the records, and also the filing obligations of employer and employees are separated, which is different from the mainland practice. And for the salary payment, one important point is that it's effective from 1st of May 2025. The statutory minimum wages rate is increasing from 41 to 42.1 per hour. So when you hire somebody, you have to remember that the lowest wage cannot be lower than this threshold, because it may have an infringement of law if it's lower. And if you pay less than 17,200 to employee, then you need to keep the records for the wage payment and also the working hours of that employee for the wage period. So you have to keep all these records, because in this case, your salary is more than that. Then you do not have to record. But when this is lower than that 17,200, then you have to keep the record of the wage payment and the working hours. And there were 2 schemes that it is mandatory to join. First is set up MPF and make contribution. This is the pension. And the second one is the employee compensation insurance. And everyone has to participate in these insurance. The employer must participate in the insurance, and then they can hire. So if there is any injuries or any potential deaths, accidents of the employees, then the employer will pay through this insurance. And for the third part, usually there are common voluntary plans. Not mandatory, though. First is the outpatient medical insurance, then hospitalization and surgical insurance. The third one is a life and accident insurance. The final one is a rental reimbursement program. This is like a tax incentive. So you may have heard that Hong Kong has a low tax environment. So in this environment, we still has the rental reimbursement program. If the employee rent an apartment, then company can run this program so that their tax rate will be even lower. So for Hong Kong locals, if they work from another company to the new company, and then after the transfer of they can still enjoy this program if they enjoyed that in the previous company, so that these employee can enjoy more post-tax salary that will make these offer more attractive. So these 4 schemes are very common in Hong Kong. Now I would like to talk about the MPF contribution. This is a very important part. Who need to join this MPF? Generally, well, if you are an employee and if you work full-time, you must participate in this MPF. There is no exemption. It's not like that, actually. So for the 7 kinds of people, they are the exempted persons. They do not have to join MPF. For these 7 types, for example, first one is the age. There is an age limit. So if the age does not fit, then they are exempted. And I think the most relevant one is that you have the visa. With those visa, you can work in Hong Kong. And then whether you can be exempted, then we can refer to the 6th item. It means that the people who enter Hong Kong under Section 11 of the Immigration Ordinance, if it's no more than 13 months or this person is already a member of a retirement scheme of a place outside Hong Kong, then this person can be exempted too. But there's a precondition. This precondition is that you need to have a working visa to Hong Kong. And this working visa is different from a visa which grants your permit to work. I listed out some visa types, including the EON, TTPS, CIES, QMAS. I think most of you are having these kind of visas, and these visas are not working visas. So if you want to be exempted from MPF, then you have to hold working visa. For example, GEP, General Employment Pass, or the talent, the professional talents from mainland. You have to only have that kind of a working visa. If you used to have the social insurance in mainland, then you can be exempted from MPF. But if you are a TTPS or QMAS, then you still need to be registered in the MPF. And if you find yourself to follow the MPF contribution, then how can you select them? Later, Emily will. I think we have an expert, Eddie, here to talk about it. I think I crossed the line a little bit, but I think Eddie will explain these slides further. I will quickly go through it. For employer and employee, once you join the MPF, actually the first payment is different for employee and employer. So I will not talk about it further. So what's important is that after you begin the contribution, for example, it started in May. So for the contribution of May, then by June 10th, these contribution must be entered into the trustee's account. If it is late, then there will be some penalty. And then in payroll setup, if your salary is late, then what is the impact? For the salary pay, there is a statutory requirement. So you have to pay their salary within 7 days after the completion of that salary period. We have to also calculate the MPF deduction, and then after that deduction, you need to issue the salary. If it is a malicious, the will, or if they have negligence, then there will be some penalty of up to 35,000 penalty, and also imprisonment. And there will also be interest generated from the delay of payment. So employer should refrain from late payment of salary. And for MPF, the penalty is also applies. There are two focuses, two key points. So first, you have not established the scheme. That penalty will be heavy because this is something employer must do. And also, there is failure of payment because of some accidents. Actually, you paid the contribution in time, but because of some other circumstances, other issues, there will be a 5% penalty, and there will be no further penalty. And you also find that the employees are all exempted persons. Do you have to establish the scheme? Theoretically, okay. But if you need to hire MPF qualified person, then you cannot be late to set up MPF scheme. You need to set up in time. Maybe you hire the first employee who is the exempted people, but the later employees may not be all exempted. So we still suggest you set up the MPF scheme. Otherwise, it may be possible that you will face the penalty if you are late to do so. And also in the MPF contribution, there is a voluntary and also the mandatory contribution from employee and employee. And for these contribution, will it affect the taxation? And when they pick up the pension, when they collect the pension from the MPF, will there be some taxable implication? I will pass on to Emily. So back to taxation issues. That about how we should see payroll, and when you contribute to MPF scheme. If you look at this table, actually most are exempted. When you can collect the money from MPF, actually after your retirement, you can collect that, or maybe upon death, or maybe incapacity, or face terminal illness. But we want to remind that for some circumstances, maybe when you have some voluntary contribution aside from a mandatory contribution, and then for the voluntary contribution, it will be subject to proportionate benefit rule. And when you cease the service, cease the employment or that employee will leave Hong Kong permanently, then they can collect the MPF. But for the voluntary contribution part, they are under taxation obligation. But for Hong Kong governments, they also have the relevant requirements. So you can ask the tax consultant about how much tax will be paid for these voluntary contribution. I think this part is what you care about most. To become an employer, well, what kind of obligations you face as an employer? So this is the return overview of an employer. What are the different return forms? Every year you may receive IR 56B. That is you may be familiar with that. But under the tax ordinance, there are so many different forms that the employer should file. The first one is a form IR 6163. You may not know that. So for these employees, this form, after you set up the company, you need to file this form to the IRD. That is the request for employees to return of remuneration and pensions. And you need to send this form to IRD as a notice. You don't have to report how many people you have, no need. You just need to tell the IRD that you have a new business, and maybe IRD will ask for the business certificate as a proof, then it will be okay. That step is finished. And for the second form, the form IR 56E, when you have employed a person for 3 months, then you need to file this form. That is to inform the IRD that you have this new employee. You do not have to report the whole year's salary yet. You may just employ several months, and you cannot expect the whole year salary. So in this form, you only need to report some basic information of these employees. For example, the names, the ID number, the marital status, residential address. This information need to be reported in this IR 56E form. And also, what is the salary amount also need to be reported in this form. And whether you offer an apartment to this employee, you also need to report in this form. If you are not a newly set up company, you already have a company in mainland and one in Hong Kong. You may have a subsidiary. And you also have the equity plan, like the stock options given to the employees. And you still also need to report this information to IRD in this form. If the employee does not have an income yet, it's okay. You still need to report all this information. And for every taxation year, it ends by March 31st. So by 30th of April, these Form BIR 56A and Form IR 56B need to be filed to IRD, together to IRD. For 56A, you can regard it as a fact sheet, just reporting to the IRD how many people you have, how many employees you have under your business, under your company. That is, how many IR 56B you have. And then for IR 56B, every employee has one version. Later, I will have another slide to elaborate on that. For IR 56B, what kind of salary should be included? Later, I will talk about it. And for IR 56.5F and IR 56G, if some employee resigned, or there's a cessation of employee, or they leave Hong Kong before March 31st, then you need to report immediately, other than waiting until April, when the employee already report to you. So 1 month before they leave, you need to report these IR 56F and G to IRD. After you finish these two forms, then you do not have to report IR 56B by the end of the year, because you already report to the IRD that that person in that year have already been reported. So it will you do not have to repeat it by the end of the year through IR 56B. And then in that form, apart from the personal particulars, what other information need to be reported? So this is the salary, including, the salary. And there are other taxable income, like the leave pay. For the annual leave, you still need to pay. And then in the beginning, we said you hire yourself. You hire yourself not as an employee, but you are the director, and you are collecting the director's fee. Director's fee has also be reported as income. And if there is some bonus or commission, these also should be included in this form. And for some special cases, some people ceased employment, you may have extra money given to them, like more than what is required in the employment ordinance. Then these income should also be reported. And also some retirement income, and for under the retirement scheme, some contribution that should be taxable also should be included in the form. And if the employer will pay the tax of a salary, then this also need to be reported. And also the education fee benefits also included for the children, for the kids. And also some people come to Hong Kong, and also the fees paid by the company for the employee are also taxable. So we talk about what need to be reported to IRD in Hong Kong, but they are quite general. If you have specific needs, then we suggest you consult the tax consultant, because Hong Kong's laws and terms sometimes are not quite clear. You say that for issuance of certain income, or whether it is taxable, and sometimes some benefits well, not by cash, or also may need your attention. So you need to consult the tax consultant, because that may involve some fine or penalty. If you're late to present the form, or there is a mistake in the form, and so that will lead to the fewer tax of the employee, then there may be some fine to the employer. And if you visit the website of IRD, you may see a lot of legal cases that may end up in imprisonment, because there is who willfully, with intent, evade the tax. The report, the information is not true, so IRD can, in the 7 years of time, ask you to provide supporting documents at any time for verification. So these worth our attention. You have to pay on time, and also report accurately and pay correctly, the correct amount. Finally, a summary. If you want to set up a business in Hong Kong, what is the thinking process? I hope this process can help you. The first part is you need to find some company to register for you, the company secretary company to register and to plan for the tax. So what kind of tax planning can help save tax? Maybe hire somebody from mainland. What is the tax obligation of the company? So when you set up the business, you have to think about this part. And then when you really set up the business, set up the company, then you have to take care of the accounting issues and the tax book reporting, filing, and bookkeeping issues. If you have a hired employee in Hong Kong, you have to see whether what kind of visa they hold. Because if they you have to verify that they have a valid visa to work in Hong Kong. If not, then employer have a greater risk of infringing upon some law. And if the employee already started their employment, then the record keeping already starts, keeping the particulars of the employee. And so there will be any tax saving and employees' tax return filing, tax saving issues, or like rental reimbursement compliance, etc. Because Hong Kong's rent is also high. So for that, it's very common offer for many employers. And then also MPF, Eddie will cover that more. And when the business expands, there will be more people. Then you need to think about HR administration. And then to employers' return filing obligation. And for employee, if these employees are just a Hong Kong local employee, you can teach that person how to file the tax. But if they are from mainland, you need to give them more support. There are some complicated issues that the employee may need help. So this is about it. This is the thinking process when you want to set up a business. I hope that it will be useful. Actually, what kind of thing you need to think about when you want to become an employer? You may have a lot of questions later you can ask. You can get our contact, and then we can exchange further. Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. Please get seated. Next, we would like to invite Mr. Eddie Chen, General Manager of External Affairs of Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Authority, to talk about MPF Essentials for new entrepreneurs in Hong Kong, who will share very detailed guide. Hello, I'm Gaidi. I come on behalf of MPF Scheme Authority. I will briefly introduce, and then I will share with you some cases. There were 3 parts I want to share with you. First is an overview of MPF. I think for most of you, you are new to Hong Kong, so maybe you are not familiar with MPF. I will give you an overview. And then I know that many of you have the plan to set up a new business or a new company. So the second part will be about the employer's responsibilities and obligations. The third one is a little bit advertising. That is the eMPF platform. That is our top priority now. We want to set up this eMPF platform now. And when we handle MPF issues, we only have this single platform to process all the MPF. Now MPF is complicated to manage, but with this platform, the things will be much easier. Okay, some overview. I think most of you are from mainland. And in mainland, you have 5 different insurances and also contribution to the residential fund. So MPF is a little bit different. Why we have MPF in Hong Kong? Actually, it's set up 25 years ago. It just started after 2000. And MPF started by a World Bank. That is a multi-pillar retirement protection framework. And this is the second pillar. Actually, MPF is managed by a private company, and so it is mandatory also. And for mandatory, you have no choices. All the workers, all the employees need to join this scheme. You have no choice, no other choices at all, because it is a mandatory. And for mandatory, for the retirement, actually it cannot solve all the retirement guarantee, but it can only provide some basic guarantee, basic retirement security for employed people. You may not have enough money to get retired, yes, because from the starting point, it's not designed for the whole retirement guarantee. It is just a basic retirement security. So it has to be combined with the other government schemes to form a complete retirement security scheme. So what about the features of MPF? It is mandatory, first of all. Apart from some exempted persons, Emily and Tony already covered that. Thank you for your sharing. I can save some effort. I don't know if you know, in the mainland, in the past decades, for many places, the retirement scheme sounds very good. By good, we mean that if you're the local resident, according to the scheme, you can enjoy a very happy retirement life because you have the income. And even in some places, by retirement, theoretically, they can receive a salary even higher than when they are working. I have heard about this kind of story. But this is a very beautiful picture. The reality may not be that, because you do not have that money in that pension fund. If the governments have no money, you cannot get it. But after MPF, over the 25 years, the biggest feature is that it is actually after you get this information, we have the sufficient funds. After you contributed, you don't not have to look at the treasury of the governments. So these money is all yours. So this is a 100% sufficient fund. So it's not like giving you a beautiful picture, dream, but you cannot get it in reality. It's not like that. For example, some European countries, the government went bankrupt, and people cannot get the pension. It's not the case in Hong Kong. Thirdly, it's employment oriented. Only those with full-time job, with the job, if you don't have to pay MPF. You need to have work in Hong Kong to be eligible to join MPF. And when you join a company, your employer will choose a trustee or a scheme, a plan. So what do we mean by plan? Now, many financial institutions provide MPF plans, maybe from banks or insurance companies, and also some Chinese companies like China Life. They all have MPF plans. So the employer will choose the plan and the trustee. And after the employee comes to the company, you can select your investment portfolio under the plan. So your boss, assume that you are an employee, your boss chooses the plan, and then under the plan, you can select the investment portfolios. So to some extent, every worker in Hong Kong, every employer in Hong Kong may have their own fund manager because you manage your own money. So we often have the saying that, oh, my MPF portfolio is sucks and it's really in deficit. I'm a member from MPF. So what follows next? You manage, you deserve that because you cannot blame others because you manage your fund yourself. You can blame the mechanism because the mechanism asks you to contribute money mandatorily. But our starting point is good. We want everybody to have a basic retirement security. But if it does not perform well, maybe because the market is not good or you cannot manage, so you cannot blame others for the underperformance of MPF because you manage yourself. You choose that portfolio yourself. And I often met with a lot of people from mainland. Some of them may ask, so what is the difference of MPF from the social insurance in mainland? For social insurance, actually, you will not have a loss. You will get more. But for Hong Kong's MPF, because you have to manage, and all the performance is packed with the market. So it is possible that if it's managed well, for example, you contribute 1 million, it's just an example, and then you can get 2 million. Because you earn 1 million. But there's another case. You input 1 million, and after years of contribution, you only get 90% of it. So that situation may exist. And for contribution, Tony mentioned the defined contribution is that 5%. 5% of an employee and 5% of employees. We assume one person's salary is 10,000, then what he gets real is 9,500. Then these remaining 500 will be contributed to MPF, and this MPF is operated by a private organization. We will not manage the MPF from our authority. Your money is invested in private organization. They have the private investment manager to manage the different funds. You may have an aggressive one or conservative funds. So this is up to your choice. So you have a different portfolio, and actually the fund manager may help you make the decision or manage the trust. And later I will talk about the eMPF platform. This is some statistics. So there are about 4.8 million plan members. There were 360,000 employees. There were 12 trustees. They have 24 plans in total. And the registration rate of MPF, I know that we have a high rate. If compare internationally, we have a 100% registration rate. Hong Kong is people are quite lawful, following laws. So no employer, they're not registering for employees. So for employees and employers, the registration rate is 100%. But self-employed persons are relatively lower. But this part has to do with you because you may be possibly self-employed persons in the future. And there are over 370 funds under these 24 plans. For employers' responsibility, when you set up a company, it's not that the employer will choose. The employer will choose the plan. The self-employed person does not have a boss. You offer a service, but you do not have any boss. You employ yourself. They are special. To some extent, they need to do the employers because they need to choose the plan and also contribute. But he or she has to contribute as an employee, for example, 5% of the income. And for employer need to contribute on time. When the employee sees the employment, then trustee has to be informed about the resignation of that employee. When we choose the trustee, there are two types of plans. The first one is the must trust plan. That is the majority. Most of the MPF plans are falling into this category. The second one is the industry plan. So what is that? Actually, this industry plan is only designed for the construction and the catering industries, only for these two industries. For those non-full-time employees, that is, they will choose this industry plan. If you are an employer, you open your own company, then you have several choices. First, you can offer more than one plan. If you are a good employer, you can give more plans. You may have to join more than one plan. Then when you choose a trustee and plan, we should also consider the employees because the money is the employee's money. So we have to consider the scope and level of services provided by the trustee. I think you are also special that in some day you will be an employer or employee. For example, the director of the company, if they also have income, then that director will also be an employee of that company. We have to be clear about that concept. So what is covered by MPF? What is the coverage? First, so aged 18 to 64 need to be covered. So people have a misunderstanding. I say that I'm not a full-time. I'm just working a few hours. Then I do not have to join MPF. Of course not. We by full-time and part-time, both of them have to join the MPF. There's no difference. And the importance the key is that this employee has to be continuously employed for 60 days or more. There are two special industries, the catering and the construction industries. The temporary employees, they even one day they need to join the plan because their time will be very scattered. They may work for 1 to 2 weeks in one construction site. They will have to change their bosses. So you cannot require them to continue the 60-day restriction. Otherwise, they can never enjoy MPF. So in this case, there's a special arrangement for temporary employees, even if they only work for 1 day. And for the general employees, how this is calculated, how the period is executed, it can serve as a reference to you. I will have an example. The employers, after the first 60 days of the general employee joining the company, then they have to enroll the employee in MPF plan. For example, the employee started the employment on June 5th, then we have to count 60 days. That is until August 3rd. So that will be a full 60 days service. So by August 3rd, the employer has to register the employee in MPF scheme. Otherwise, there will be some penalty. There are some exempted persons mentioned by Tony. So this is the Chinese version. These are the different exempted persons. So for these working visa, the working visa is very special. I don't know. Most of you are from CCPS or from the quality QMS. So I would say a few words about it. This is the condition, precondition. Holders of working visa. Actually, this is the key. You have to have the working visa to enter into Hong Kong, who are allowed to enter Hong Kong to work. You can see the two conditions. First is permitted to stay in Hong Kong for no more than 13 days, or you're a person if you are members of a retirement scheme outside of Hong Kong, then you do not have to pay to join the MPF scheme. Okay? Timely contribution is very important. Tony also talked about it. I want to emphasize one point. There is a calculation base, that is the relevant income. The monthly relevant income, what do we mean by that? Every year, when employer make the contribution, that's the 5% of the relevant income. But there is a cap. If the monthly income is less than 7,500, employer need to contribute 5%. But employee does not have to contribute because for the lowest salary, the salary brought back home is more important than MPF contribution. And for those over 30,000 of income, then the cap would be 1,500 for both employer and employees. So there is no more to contribute. With the high income person, they can invest their extra money for other purposes. If some boss, some dishonest ones, after they deduct the employee's version from the employee's salary, and then they embezzled that instead of making contribution. So this is more serious. The fine, the penalty, and the imprisonment will be higher: 450,000 of a penalty and imprisonment of 4 years. And for definition of income, there are different details. First, it means any payment of money, of a salary, commission, bonus in terms of money, but it excludes the long service payment and the severance payment. Okay, so this is for your reference. What about the contribution day? The 10th day of each month is the contribution day, the 10th. And sometimes, if the 10th happen to be Saturday, public holiday, or rainstorm warning day, then the contribution day will be postponed to the first working day after that day. For the 10th of the month, you have to contribute, but for the 1st to 8th, there will be the holiday days. We will not calculate. Actually, they are all included. So remember, if there are holidays before 10th, you need to make leeway for these preparation. This is the first contribution period. If you already started contribution, it's okay. But for the first contribution, it's important. For example, that I said the employee started the employment on June 5th, and then on August 3rd, we have to register this employee in the scheme. So they need to pay on the 10th of September. That is the first contribution day. That is for the employer's contribution period, but employees are a little bit different. They have the exemption period. So the first 30 days plus an incomplete month will be the exemption. For example, he started working on June 5th. The first 30 days until early of July, including July, does not have to contribute. So he only start contribution from August, and the contribution day is in September. Do you understand? So this is different from the employer and employee for this part. And for every contribution, this payment remittance statement has to be provided. And with eMPF platform, the settling methods will be a little bit different. Actually, Emily also talked about different forms. We do not have that many forms. I feel dizzy, confused about it. We don't need. Actually, our reporting is very simple. This one is very important. If you fail to pay the contribution by the 10th of month, there will be overdue. So how maybe it's by some mistake or some other issues, there will be a certain fine involved. If you fail to contribute, then 5% of that payment in arrears will be added. So 500 at least will be added. This fine will be given to the employee because you failed to make a contribution for that employee. So these 500 will be given to the employee's account. So do not be late. When there's a termination of employment, you need to also inform the trustee about that leave and termination. I will not elaborate on the details. So this is also another obligation. Okay, advertising time for this eMPF platform. What is about it? For MPF, we have 12 trustees. And for different companies, they have their own. sets of operations and administration. So if you have different trustees, you have accounts in different trustees, it will be very complicated because every company has a different sets of rules, different forms. So when you handle, you have to remember all these different rules. So this is a low efficient, and also have a very low, very bad experience from the customers. So we consolidated all the 12 trustees. We collect all the administration duties to us. Our authority set up a company that is the eMPF company. All the operation and administration of MPF will now fall to these eMPF platform company. So all will be standardized, simplified, and automated because it is an e-platform. And because it is a centralized platform, efficiency will be improved. Now, when we handle MPF, sometimes there are some typos or some mistakes, then they will be all avoided because all happens on the online platform. The customer experience will be improved. And there is a criticism that is the fee is high. How we collect the fees? Actually, it depends on there's a certain ratio, certain percentage of the money and in the account. So if the ratio is 1,000 and you have 1 million, then every year the fee is 10,000. The lower, the better, right? But now in the markets, on average, the fee is 1.3 to 1.4%. Many people think that is too expensive. So we think that for eMPF, it is a non-profitable platform. Our fee will be greatly lower. There will be several parts of the fee. Mainly, it's administration and investment. And our fee is mostly the administration fee. We only collect $1 for 1 year. And after 10 years, we expect for administration, the $1 will be cut to 45 cents. So it will be cut by half. This is very important because our investment will last decades. So this cut is very significant, and theoretically, employer and employee need to use this platform. So there are many benefits listed out here. I covered some of them. We will have some administration, and for fee, there is all improvement. This is the interface of the platform. We can use app, the apps, or use the computer interface, depending on your own choice. So this is a timetable. We introduced it from June of last year, and we hope to complete it by end of this year. All the trustees can join the MPF e-platform. This is the timeline of our trustees. For those who already joined and about to join, you can take a picture. You can see on the left-hand side, the green, they are already online. They are relatively smaller companies. So the benefits is that when they join, it will be more controllable, and the late joiners are the bigger financial institutions. So with the experience accumulated with the smaller companies, we can manage the operation of when these big companies join. And then I think many of you are quite good at handling and settling all the words and contents. But for many joiners, they are not good at using computer. They are from the grassroots level people. So we feel that we need to do a better service assistance. You can see part of it in different parts of Hong Kong. We have the service centers and also our vendors. If you set up a business as an employer, you want to join a scheme, they will send a lot of information to you. If you cannot handle well, you can see there's an outreach team. You can make an appointment. They can go to your company. They're not to deliver food. Well, they can help you to use the service, help the service to be launched in your company. You can, in your company, until you are okay to handle it, until it is okay. So it is our services. This is a promotion. And as an employer, in terms of operation, you need to know something, including we have some videos for the guiding instructions. So I've actually concluded my introduction. Thank you. Thank you very much for Eddie's detailed sharing. So as an employer in Hong Kong, please pay attention to the MPF obligations and make appropriate arrangements. Actually, there are many questions. Do we have a playback? Yes, we will have playback of this video. So now it's a Q&A session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. I will give you the microphone. So for those online guests, you can also drop your question in the chat box. Let's invite Emily, Tony, and Eddie on the stage. Anyone from our room? Okay. I don't know who can answer. For MPF, it can be free from taxation. Yes. If you have the mandatory contribution will be deducted. Is this similar to an annuity? And the extended annuity? No, they don't. Yeah, they're separate. If you also participate in the annuity and extended annuity, actually it has to be offered by the specified, designated, or qualified provider, and there will be an extra deductible income. And if the employer postponed MPF contribution, it will be fined. How about employer? Employee will be also fined. Theoretically, contribution is given by employer, so employee will not have to pay that. Actually, you don't have to pay. When the employer give you the salary, the MPF part will be deducted, and then they will make the contribution. So the employee do not have to make the contribution, MPF. Although MPF is the tax is deductible, you have to report that in your personal filing. The employer actually need to include that MPF in the reform. Cannot be deducted in the employer's report. So MPF may rise or fall over the decades. I think there is a choice. You have to take a stock or more robust type. Then in the middle, I find it's really have a lot of loss. Can I change? Thank you for your question. I think I have not covered that. Theoretically, the benefits of MPF is that the employee is like a fund manager of its own MPF portfolio. Your employer only choose the plan, but you will choose different funds. So after you chose the funds, anytime you can change. Maybe this month you buy, and 2 months later you find that because the investment environment has changed, you can change anytime. But as a long-time investment strategy, there's a remind that we think MPF is over 40-year in terms of investment. Theoretically, we should not look at the short term and should not make short-term adjustments because it should run for a long time. Because I also from investment business, I have seen so much. We always want to buy low and sell high, but experience tell me that most people did the reverse. Do you understand me? So maybe you are the exemption. Otherwise, do not invest in short run because MPF is for long term. But you can change your fund portfolio anytime. Follow-up question: for a company, can a company open several plans? I think Lee can work in several companies, but can company open several plans? You mean choosing more than one trustees? Yes, we actually encourage that. Because if the company mandatorily they have to open one, but what if they open 3? It means that the employees can have more choices. Some employees like this company, some employees like other company. If you open more than one plan, it's a good thing. Because we have an awarding plan, we encourage the employee to open more than one plan for the employees. Then they will be add up the administration pressure because they have to face 2 companies. But if the boss of the company want to have a one step further, I will recommend my friend to that company because this is a good company, good boss. If I have multiple company, maybe one employee can choose one company or the other. Yes, that happens. So you have to manage more than one plan. If you have 2 companies, some of your employees choose trustee 1, and then some others choose trustee 2, then your workload may be more. But in the meantime, it shows that you are a caring company. You can do that. Do we have any further questions? Okay. I will follow up on that question. If this employee only have a company A, and the employee want to choose another trustee, you are really very good question. No wonder you are from the TTPS, top talents. Yes, some employee work in the same company for the whole life. It happens. But what if the employer find a plan that this employee does not want? So in 2012, we have the half free travel plan. That is, the employee can transfer their own contribution part to change to another trustee. We have that choice. But we think that this is not enough. So this year, we have the public consultation. We want to have the semi-free to whole free. So the employee is free to transfer all the contribution, including the part of employers, to another scheme freely. So the autonomy of the employee is bigger. You have asked a very good question. In 2012, this is a semi-free. Now we want to have a full free. We just completed the public consultation. Later, it will go through the Legislative Council. For the semi-free, now it's already active, right? If the employee want to do that, what the employee wants to do, do they have to tell the employer? They don't need to tell the employer. They just choose some plan they want, and then they just submit the application to the new trustee, and then the new trustee will contact the old trustee, and then they will transfer the money. That's it. The employer does not need to be informed. Online, we also have some questions. If in mainland there's an income in mainland and Hong Kong, so there will be consolidated taxation. Actually, it's very complicated. It depends on whether they are working in the same employer or two kinds of salary for the same period. One is for Hong Kong company, the other is the mainland salary for the same job, but then it has to be consolidated and reporting in Hong Kong. Why it seems complicated? Because Hong Kong and the mainland has a different tax systems, completely different. So we have to see there will be some exemption or some deductible items under the double taxation system. So we have to see case by case. Another question, maybe better to ask Eddie. If I have a full-time and a part-time income, do I have to contribute MPF at two different organizations? What I need to pay attention to when I file the tax? I will just answer the MPF part. Theoretically, it depends on the employer. So you have the employer A, and you have to contribute, and then you have another employer B. So it is about the contribution. But I think for taxation, Emily is the better person to answer. Is it from the employee's perspective? Yes. So this employee has a full-time and a part-time. Actually, no. From the employer's perspective, Tony also said employer has the contribution, and some cannot be deducted from the salary. The employer have to report the 100% of the income. But if there is a contribution, then we have to see whether there are some deductible items that is actually deducted when the employee report their tax. It has nothing to do with the employer. Any questions? Another question is about so for those short business trip, the people, expat people, or the people in short business travel, is there any tax arrangement? What do you mean by other tax arrangements? Also, it depends on whether this is a good employer or not, because generally speaking, employer has its own obligation, employee also have its own obligation, and the employee will pay the tax themselves. But maybe that person is from mainland, dispatched. So will they have the double taxation? Or under some special cases, some benefits are given to the employee. So this is just between the employee and the employer. So for the tax reporting obligation, it's not mandatory. Any other questions? I want to know. So employee has the self-employed part and also MPF, also part-time MPF and full-time MPF. There are three types of and also three types of MPF trustees. So for self-employed, can that person stop the self-employed, and can these three types be consolidated? I think this is a very special case. It's quite diversified. It depends on how you look at it. Actually, every MPF is arranged depending on the job. If it's a self-employed person, you do not have a boss. A very simple example. You may not be familiar with the industry in Hong Kong. There were many professional people. They are self-employed. For example, there were many doctors, lawyers. They are self-employed, and most of self-employed are. You can see many on the people on the streets, taxi drivers. They are self-employed. They rent the cars, and to drive it, they have no boss. But maybe one person has multiple jobs. In the daytime, it's a self-employed person, but at nighttime, you will work in a restaurant for 3 hours. So he is also an employee for some sense. So he has various identities. And these MPFs cannot be consolidated because they have their own special accounts for different jobs. But for part-time, for person both working as part-time and full-time, there is no direct relationship. Because for part-time and full-time, in the MPF world, it's the same. No difference. But if you say that you full-time and part-time are from different bosses, then theoretically you have two different kinds of jobs. But maybe in the future you already left the part-time, and then that accounts can be consolidated with the existing, or you can open another one. When you are employed, you have an existing MPF plan, right? But at some point, when you resigned, you do not have the new job yet, and then your account will enter into another account. That is the personal account. And for that personal account, you can control yourself wherever you can go. You do not have to follow the original trustee. So if you have a personal account, then that personal account is freely under your control. You can put it in any trustee. So for that person, that accounts have two choices. First, he can open a personal account. You can do whatever they want, and you can also add that money into this existing full-time job account. But if they have a self-employed account, it will be complicated. If you stopped, actually, depending on different natures, the handling procedure is different. From taxation part, you also need to pay attention, because in Hong Kong, the self-employed identity is not paying the salary tax. You need to pay the profit tax. So if he's both an employee and self-employed, but all the income need to be reported to the IRD, but for the employed part is the salary tax, but for the self-employed part is the profit tax. If you do not have any questions, I can add up one point. Some may ask you, if I open a company, I did not hire any employee. You open a company, but you have not you have no employee. Do I have to join MPF? It's a practical question. It may happen. So it depends on your operation. If you run the company as a self-employed person, whether as a partner or sole part, theoretically, if you do not hire any employee, you do the MPF, join MPF, then you still need to join MPF because you are a self-employed person. But there's another scenario. You open a limited company. You know that for limited company, you are the director, but you participate in the daily operation business. So you are the employed director. You also need to join MPF scheme. But maybe one director is not the non-executive director, do not participate in the daily operation and management, but you pay some director fee. Then this director fee, this director does not have to participate in MPF. Self-employed person have to join MPF scheme. Another point, if I'm a self-employed person, nobody would know. Actually, theoretically, it's an infringement of the law. Self-employed person have to join MPF. You have to, okay? So that's the end of the Q&A session. Thank you all for the questions and also the sharing of the speakers. So that's the end of our sharing. We would like to thank Emily, Tony, and Eddie, and the support from EY and MPF Authority. So from now to 5 p.m. is the exchange networking time. And please submit the questionnaire to our staff. We will design more interesting activities to you. Thank you. Bye.